Have you ever wondered why some people only realize your value after you disappear? Ever noticed how it's in your silence that someone finally starts seeing you clearly? Here's the truth. When you change, truly change, you don't have to chase anyone. They'll come looking for you. And it's not by accident. What few people talk about, and almost no one teaches, is that there are deep emotional triggers that get activated the moment you stop explaining yourself and start evolving. When you grow in silence, master your emotions, and change your patterns, the other person feels it, even if they say nothing. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly the 8 hidden reasons that make someone want you back, even when it feels like it's too late. You'll understand step by step how your personal growth, emotional strength, and new way of living make the person who let you go start missing you, without even knowing why. Each point you hear here will reveal how your absence, paired with your silent evolution, can completely turn the tables in your favor, and more importantly, how to use that with wisdom, without begging, chasing, or lowering your value. So if you want to know how to earn back respect, reignite attraction, and most of all, become someone impossible to forget, stay with me until the end. This video isn't just about making someone miss you. It's about becoming so emotionally strong that the world feels your absence when you go quiet. Oh, and before we dive in, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this. Because today, you're about to understand what makes you truly unforgettable. There's something powerful about silence. It speaks louder when you return changed. When someone pulls away and comes back transformed, emotionally, mentally, even physically, the impact is undeniable. The person who once thought they knew you is now faced with a version of you they weren't expecting. The old patterns vanish, and in their place appears someone stronger, more confident, more intriguing. That change is a kind of emotional slap in the face, because what was once predictable is now refreshingly unfamiliar. And humans? We're naturally drawn to what feels new and off-script. That surprise is where the magic starts. You used to react in ways that were easy to read. Now you move with a different energy. Someone who studies Stoicism, practices self-discipline, and learns how not to be shaken becomes fascinating. When your mental strength starts to speak louder than your need for validation, the other person feels it deeply. True growth always begins internally. It happens when you distance yourself not to punish, but to heal and reconnect with your purpose. And that kind of transformation shows. A clear example, you change your routine. You start waking up early, reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, working out, eating better. That inner shift shows on the outside and leaves a powerful visual and emotional impression. The result? An emotional short circuit in the one who thought they had you figured out. They expected someone fragile, maybe even needy. And now they see someone grounded, centered, aware. And this version of you doesn't react to ego-driven games. You master your mind. That not only surprises them, it makes them feel slightly intimidated. You're no longer easy to read. The best part? You don't have to announce it. Growth doesn't need a megaphone. You don't post everything, prove nothing. You simply live, and live well. And when someone realizes you flourished without them, it stings. What was once taken for granted now feels out of reach. And scarcity always raises value. That growing sense of loss, mixed with your new unpredictability, begins to rewrite the entire narrative. The other person starts asking themselves, if I don't recognize this version, what else did I miss? And that's exactly where the next phase quietly begins to take shape. There's an invisible force that pulls others in without trying, the energy of someone who's learned how to be enough for themselves. When you stop chasing and start walking with purpose, everything around you begins to shift. It's not about pride, it's about clarity. And people watching from the sidelines can feel it. Your absence no longer feels like withdrawal, but rather a sign that you've finally found yourself and started choosing yourself daily. Self-sufficiency has a glow that doesn't shout, it simply shines. It's not about posting how independent you are or dropping hints. It's about calm, consistent actions that show you're truly at peace in your own company. That disarms people. For example, instead of texting out of desperation, you dive into a new skill, a passion project, or simply enjoy your own growth. That's what real inner strength looks like. This change in focus creates admiration. Stoic philosophy teaches us that real freedom is found in mastering our own reactions, not controlling others. When you start living with presence, dropping neediness, and becoming genuinely grateful for what you already have, not what you're missing, something inside you levels up, and others notice. They see you from a distance, puzzled and strangely drawn in. People who shine on their own tend to intimidate, but also inspire. Picture someone who once relied on outside validation for happiness, now waking up early, reading Seneca's letters, meditating, embracing stillness. That journey generates a quiet power. The one who walked away expecting you to chase them now finds themselves hoping you'll notice them again. The roles start to reverse. You're no longer quick to reply. You don't fall for provocation. You've stopped reacting impulsively. That's emotional control. That's mind mastery. That's emotional intelligence in motion. Because now your peace is worth more than any petty reaction. You've realized losing yourself for someone else was never love. It was just distraction. And that's when the magnetic field kicks in. Your absence becomes a presence. Your independence becomes a charm. Your calm becomes power. The one who once saw you as a satellite now sees you as the sun, steady, warm, untouchable. But they still don't know. This new version is only the beginning of a much deeper awakening. There's something deeply unsettling about watching someone you once knew rise in confidence. When you change for real, you don't need to announce it. The world feels it. Your posture shifts, your gaze grows firmer. The way you walk into a room isn't the same anymore. And those who knew your past version feel it too. When confidence comes from a journey of self-mastery, it acts like a mirror, reflecting everything the other person lacks. That confidence doesn't appear overnight. It's built the moment you stop trying to control everything and start mastering yourself. Stoic philosophy reminds us that true power lives within, not outside. When you train your mind not to react to every trigger, not to bend to wounded egos or fears of rejection, life gets lighter, and your presence, heavier. Confidence creates silent comparisons. They saw you on the ground and now you stand tall. This isn't arrogance, it's mental strength, it's self-discipline. It's you walking into a space with your energy saying, I know who I am. And though the other person might not admit it, deep down they feel uncomfortable. There's a sting of regret, a voice whispering, why didn't I notice this before? That envy creeps in between the lines. It shows up in sarcastic comments, ironic messages, stares that last too long. But it's not hate. It's a blend of desire and remorse. They want to reconnect, but only now that you're elevated. Because now you radiate a respect that isn't demanded. It's earned. And people are drawn to those who don't chase but simply are. Want a clear example? Someone who used to feel insecure about their looks now walks tall, smiles with confidence and holds eye contact. It's not about outer beauty. It's about inner peace. It's about keeping calm under pressure, knowing your value, and not folding to rejection. When the mind is in alignment, the body follows, and that change is impossible to ignore. That kind of transformation plants a seed of doubt in the one who let you go. The what if begins. What if I had seen their worth sooner? What if I've lost something rare? And in the silence of those thoughts, curiosity begins to grow. The kind of curiosity that slowly becomes an irresistible pull toward reconnection. When a person changes their patterns, they shake the emotional foundation of anyone who thought they had them figured out. You used to be predictable. Your reactions, your schedule, your answers followed a script. But now, you surprise. That instant good morning turned into strategic silence. The urge to explain everything was replaced with mystery. And mystery, my friend, holds more power than logic ever could. Unpredictability is an invitation to curiosity. The human mind hates not understanding something. And when you change, your routines, your habits, the way you speak, it activates a deep instinct to seek clarity. The person begins to wonder why you no longer act the same, why you seem selective, calm, unreadable. This shift creates intrigue. And when feelings are involved, curiosity quickly turns into desire. And this unpredictability is intentional. It's not about playing cold or distant. It's about placing your energy where it's truly valued. It means no longer broadcasting your thoughts, plans, or feelings, just living. A practical example? You used to get anxious about being left on read. Now you respond when and if you want. That shows mind mastery, perception power, and a peaceful confidence that throws the other off balance. This new version of you isn't playing games, it's self-respect in action. Stoic wisdom teaches that a wise person doesn't explain everything, but acts with intention. When you shift your frequency, your communication changes. Your absence isn't punishment, it's choice. Your calm isn't indifference, it's emotional maturity. And the other person feels it, deeply and confusingly. Unpredictability also creates contrast. If you used to reach out first, now you observe. If you used to fix things, now you let silence speak. This shakes the other's sense of control. And when someone loses control over what once felt familiar, fear mixes with longing. And that's a potent combination. They start trying to read you again, but now every page feels like a new language. And as this confusion grows, something inside them stirs. A quiet longing not just to understand you again, but to feel you again. And in that space of uncertainty and absence, one of the deepest truths about human connection begins to rise. Only those who lose access begin to realize the true value of what they once had. It's fascinating how silence can amplify everything that was once ignored. Your presence, when removed, begins to reveal what it truly meant. Those little gestures, a thoughtful message, timely advice, a quiet hug, now echo in the mind of the one who pushed you away. Absence becomes a mirror. What was once invisible now feels unbearably loud. When the mind is deprived of what it took for granted, it goes into alert mode. It starts searching, but can't find. It looks for your support, your care, the stability you once offered, without asking for anything in return. But now, that calm energy is gone, and nothing seems to replace it. Because you weren't just there, you were a source of emotional grounding, and now you're no longer available. This void can't be filled with distractions. Parties, new conversations, scrolling through social media. None of it works. Deep down, their thoughts return to you, and not just with longing, but guilt. Because everything you gave freely now feels like it was wasted, and that realization stings. Stoic teachings remind us, we only value what we think we control, until it's gone. And that's when silent regret creeps in. Memories return like flashes. The day you listened without judgment, the time you cared without being asked, the support you gave without ever demanding anything. Each moment now weighs heavier. The heart that once felt indifferent now tightens. They realize what you offered was rare. And once lost, rare things are hard to find again. This emotional awakening often shows up unexpectedly, in dreams, passing phrases, or simply visiting places you once went together. It's the mind trying to process a loss it didn't take seriously at the time. And the pain grows stronger when they see you're no longer waiting. You're out there, living, evolving, reading Seneca in peace, honoring your energy, and choosing yourself. And amidst that inner chaos, something starts to rise. The urge to recover what slipped away. But at this point, it's not just about wanting what they had. It's about needing to be where you are now. And that realization begins to shift their entire motivation towards something much deeper. Life has a curious way of teaching value. When you bloom, the same eyes that once ignored you begin watching in silence. As you evolve, set new goals, build a life grounded in personal growth, meditation, discipline, and mental strength, the atmosphere changes. The person who walked away now feels like they're missing a place in a story that's still being written. And it's not just any story. It's the journey of someone now radiating emotional control and rare inner peace. Human beings fear exclusion. And when your life enters a new exciting phase, more authentic, lighter, more intentional, the one who let you go starts to feel left behind, especially when your progress reflects everything they once overlooked. Now your confidence shines, your focus is sharp, your energy is protected, and all of that feels too powerful to ignore. They don't just want you back, they want in. That desire shows up subtly, They start liking old posts, sending vague messages, or throwing out compliments that never came before. But beneath those actions is a deeper fear that someone else might be living the moments they once took for granted. Think about it. You start sharing accomplishments, new trips, new hobbies, and suddenly they're wondering who is experiencing all this with them. That thought stings, and it pushes them toward you, but not in a "let's go back to how things were" kind of way. This time it's about joining the new chapter. The problem is the door isn't wide open anymore. You've become more selective. Your time has value. Your emotional space has rules. And now, entering your life requires something new. Worthiness. Growth, when genuine, sets new standards. You no longer accept just anyone beside you. Anyone who wants to be part of your journey must offer more than words. They must show action, emotional maturity, and alignment with your peace. They'll need to master the same things you did. How to keep calm under pressure, how to rise above the ego, how to stay grounded in chaos, or they'll simply be spectators from a distance. And that's when the game truly changes. The desire to return is no longer about nostalgia, it's about transformation, because you've outgrown your old spaces, and that realization awakens something even stronger in them, a fear that we'll explore more deeply in the next shift. Fear has a strange way of waking up those who are asleep. When someone starts imagining you next to another person, laughing, evolving, being loved the way you deserve, the mind goes into overdrive. And this kind of fear doesn't knock or ask permission, it just takes over. The person who let you go now envisions someone else experiencing your best version. And that's unbearable, because it's not just you who changed, it's what you now represent. You've become a rare combination of maturity, ancient wisdom, and emotional peace, and that shakes them. Picture this: someone watching you from afar, now walking lighter, handling tension with grace, remaining serene where chaos used to live. Their mind begins to build images they can't control, you being seen, respected, and valued by someone new. And their ego, it panics. This panic doesn't always look dramatic. It shows up as sweet messages out of nowhere, little phrases like, "just wanted to see how you're doing," or "I've been thinking about you." But beneath those soft words is a deeper fear, that someone else will recognize what they couldn't, that another will discover your mental strength, emotional intelligence, and self-discipline, and hold on tight. And that fear grows even stronger when you remain unbothered, when you don't rush to respond, when you no longer bend to emotional traps. Stoic philosophy reminds us, real power is not needing to be disturbed by what you can't control. And once you live that truth, you become unshakable, which ironically makes you more desired, because now you are a choice, not a backup plan. Want a concrete example? You stop posting cryptic quotes, you stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to prove you've moved on, because you actually have. You travel, explore, meet new people, invest in your peace. And while you do, the person who left starts to feel like time is slipping away. That dreaded question hits: what if it's too late? But the most intriguing part, you're no longer the one chasing. Now, you set the pace. And that shift in power prepares the stage for the final transformation, the one that silently redefines the dynamic between you two. There are forms of power that don't need to be announced, only felt. When you grow, transform, and fully embrace your value, the entire dynamic shifts. And it shifts quietly. That old emotional dependency, where you used to beg for scraps of attention, is replaced by autonomy. And the one who once thought they had control now feels completely disarmed by your calm. You no longer beg, force, or wait. You live. That kind of presence hits the ego like a punch. Your absence no longer screams, "I miss you." It whispers, "I chose myself." And there's nothing more magnetic than someone who makes that choice every single day. Stoic wisdom teaches us, the wise don't get shaken by others' instability. They anchor themselves in what they can control. That's exactly what you did. You became the center of your own peace. Now everything has changed. Messages aren't your priority anymore. Replies come when it makes sense. Reactions fade. In their place, clarity, calm, and self-respect. The one who knew you as fragile now sees someone who knows their worth. And that's unsettling, because they used to control your mood. Now, not even their silence can reach you. That role reversal creates deep discomfort. The person who once called the shots now feels lost, but there's no revenge, no loud closure. There's just you, quiet, grounded, unshakable. And that silence speaks louder than anything. Mastering your emotions transmits a rare energy, unbreakable self-respect. And in a world where everyone's reacting, you're standing still, and that's power. Want to apply this in real life? Start your day with guided meditation. Read a few pages from Epictetus. Structure your time around what fuels you. Choose your battles wisely. Instead of reacting to drama, observe. That's self-discipline, that's mind mastery, that's personal development, Stoic style. And here's the twist. When you start treating yourself like a priority, the world begins doing the same. At this point, you don't need to prove anything, because the one who lost you already knows. And if they want to return now, it'll have to be different. With respect, with effort, with real change. Because this new version of you, it doesn't follow old rules anymore. Now that you've learned the 8 reasons why that person will come looking for you again, the real question is, what are you going to do with that power? Will you keep trying to convince someone who didn't value you? Or will you use this newfound strength to build a version of yourself so solid, so centered, so unshakably calm, that whoever lost you will have to ask permission just to look you in the eyes again? You don't need empty promises or half-hearted comebacks. What you need is direction, mind mastery, and a clear vision of where you're headed. So tell me, which of these changes have you already started applying? Which one are you still resisting? Leave a comment below. Tell me which of these 8 points hit you the hardest. Your story comes down to one choice: to keep being who they expect, or to shock the world with your silent transformation. And remember, when you choose yourself every day, you don't lose anyone. You simply filter out who's worthy to walk beside you. If this video made sense to you, if it touched something inside, now's the time to subscribe. Turn on notifications so you never miss more content like this, combining ancient wisdom with real-life strategies. And of course, share this with someone who also needs to activate that quiet power that's been hiding inside them all along.